Hola, hola, buenos dias, buenos noches, and buenos tardes, GnGs. My name is Trekkw2ks. Welcome to Weekend Crypto, brought to you here on the Gentleman Crypto Network. If you don't know, the basic idea behind this segment is I cover news that happens over the weekend from Friday into Sunday, pop it out 08 Monday morning. And the general idea is that I stay away from the price talk stuff, but because we have other folks in the network who do more price talk related conversations and that point of interest. And so I try to look at more of an event driven kind of thing, where things are happening either within countries, within companies, or there is a person or figure within the space who has done something that I would consider an event. Is it a repetitive action that establishes a trend or a pattern, or is it something new, or is it giving us like, oh, this is actually a close of the industry or a company or the sector is changing direction? And so I got a number of things that happened over this weekend, and yeah, we're gonna get into those. But before I do that, I do want to say thank you again for the folks who are actually coming back, listening to what I'm saying, taking what I'm saying into account with how they are doing their due diligence in cross-referencing what is going on in the space. I really do try to keep out of the price talk conversation and really try to put it in more of a like, here's a bigger context, or here's some things that aren't being mentioned. And some folks are taking what I'm saying as like, yeah, I'm gonna put that into my bag of information and use it to cross-reference stuff. I do greatly appreciate folks taking what I'm saying as valid, as a different perspective, or as something that they can add into where they already are in the space. And so I just want to say thank y'all. I appreciate, I really do. What was the other thing? I had something else and I forgot. But you see what's going on with these two headline titles. I got a bunch of other things going on, and yeah, we're gonna get into that stuff. So here we go. All right, here we are on the first story. So I got local regulatory stuff. I got national regulatory stuff. I got international related stuff. It's a number of things. Like, I really got to do a better way of putting y'all on to like the other stories that come across my radar. Like I said, over the last two, I think, weekends, it's been like this uptick in other non-price talk related things happening. And it's like I start off with like maybe 30 to 50 different stories, and then I got to window down. I'm at what, 9 stories with this, but I like, time wise, ideally it would be maybe 5 stories, right? Because it just works better for the time. But nonetheless, let me jump into this, right? So California updates campaign contribution rules to include crypto. So basically, before, it's crazy how this was working before with them, where they didn't necessarily have to say stuff. And I'm not going to run through the whole thing. As y'all know, I do leave the links in the description, so you can always follow up. And I do highly encourage folks to do their own due diligence and follow up on these articles. Why? Because I'm not a CPA, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a financial advisor, just somebody on the internet who I've been around for a bit. So like, certain things to me might look like trends and patterns, but that doesn't mean I know what's going on in your situation and how you want to move through this space. So do your own due diligence, right? Where's the one? So first paragraph I'm gonna jump into. Last updated in 2020, the manual now details how a candidate or committee can declare cryptocurrency listed as a non-monetary item. A committee can now accept crypto contributions subject to any applicable limits. Committees can't accept crypto from foreigners, lobbyists, or anonymous sources. So, because that'll be the first thing folks will throw into this, and I like do understand what that just did. That made local borders and international borders like a thing. Like, well, we're only going to accept money from these quote sources. You can't be a foreign. Remember, if crypto's supposed to be about everyone's supposed to get access, everyone's supposed to be able to use it where and when they please, this goes total counter to that. Some folks might agree with that being a good thing. You don't want funding sources from foreign companies, but you got to also look at it and go, well, aren't there other means that foreign sources are already funding things in the political and judicial arena? So what does this really mean? What does it really do? Um, there's another paragraph that had caught my attention, and it's the one actually after this. So jumping down here, and this was a very short article, by the way. So payment processors are expected to collect and share KYC information of contributors with the committee within 24 hours. Once a crypto contribution has been received, it must be immediately converted into US dollars. Committees or candidates can declare associated processing fee as expenditures and must report the contributions as a miscellaneous increase to cash. Now, there's a couple of things that in my mind is like, I feel like there's some kind of tax loopholes somewhere in the scenario that I'm not totally understanding, especially when you look at like, okay, I can collect all of this in, depending on what crypto I had got, you might have the whole gas fee situation, such as Ethereum, anything Ethereum related, which I got another story about that I'm gonna jump into in a minute. And then to look at like, well, what happens when it's one of the, the busier parts of the day, and you're doing your transactions at that point. And plus you immediately have to exit out of the crypto. So what is even the point then of making crypto contributions if it's just going right back into USD? That this doesn't even make sense as a practicality other than to show, here's an indicator, the crypto conversation is being fully thrusted into the 2024 election. The what's the word I'm looking for? It will be a part of the talking point. It will be a part of like who's getting what. Plus, I got a Donald Trump story that's related to the crypto thing too. The point being is I'm taking this as an indicator to show, and California is a very notable state for what they do within their campaign setup, right? Excuse me. So seeing this as a thing, that they've now quote clarified the rules around crypto donations, expect to see other major political key states and like I guess jurisdictions do the same thing, as well as the the increasing mention of crypto in relation to the different political candidates running and political parties. That's where I'm going with that. All right, so jumping into this next story. Hey, if I missed a point on that or there's something else that y'all thought of, definitely comments are open. You'll see me at the live at the 10ish hour if King and Zay come on with that. So catch me then, or catch me in the comments. As we say, we don't delete, but we do keep receipts. So if what I'm saying makes sense, great. If it don't, push back. I'm okay with it. Next comment. Well, sorry. Next article here is U.S. regulators consider regulating regulating political deepfakes ahead of the 2024 election. So I'm gonna go through a couple of the lines on this, and then I'll drop my thought process. I don't know. I didn't feel like that particular art piece captured the full sentiment of the article, but I guess at the same time you get it. I just realized what they did with the V for Vendetta mask, which is like, yeah. I don't think it captures what's actually being implied in this article. So where you at? All right. So the United States Federal Election Commission voted unanimously on August 10th to advance a petition that would potentially regulate deepfakes in political ads generated by artificial intelligence. The petition targets ads that use artificial AI to portray political candidates doing or saying things they did not do ahead of the 2024 elections. So, where's the... Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the basic idea of what you need to understand about this article. So they're saying, hey, we want to put a petition that's like, hey, no one's going to do anything that uses AI to misrepresent another political candidate, right? This is basically what they're saying. Here's the other way to look at this. If this petition is being put up now in preparation for 2024, it more than likely will play out that there will be some level of AI-generated campaign content that will break these rules, as well as there will be, quote, campaign content that follows the rules. The bigger thing to understand in this, in my opinion, is that there will be AI-generated content, and it will become a normal part of the election process, the election cycle. Case in point, look at how when Obama came in, he was noted as, the first president to really be on the social media thing. He was he's on Facebook, his following is blah, blah, blah. And then that changed the whole game to where like, if you're trying to run, like you got to have your social media team, because if you're not doing it like Obama did it, and he raised a lot of money through Facebook for his campaign, and that was a whole nother big thing. And then when Trump came in, Trump was heavy on Twitter. The AI, like we're seeing the growth, the transformation of how the political engine is evolving and incorporating these new technologies. Right. And it's the same thing back in the day, right? Like when people used to vote back in the day in the States, it was like, well, here's the picture of the person. Because if you didn't know how to read and you never actually been to the Capitol and you never left your city or your state, like you didn't know what the person looked like. And that's when, like back in the day, they were like on the road show, like you had to go from place to place. But nonetheless, I'm beating the horse, right? The point being is AI will be used in this election cycle. That's it. That's all you got to walk away with. The rule that they're saying they want to put in as this petition thing, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, the money's going to go where the money's going to go to facilitate using the technology to reach desired end results, whether it is to help improve the candidate's position or help dissuade the candidate's position. At the end of the day, AI is going to be used. That's the point. So jumping on this next story. Oh, and shout outs to Bitcoin Shango, man. He sent me this in the DMs, and I was just like, ain't this hilarious? Like, so cryptocurrency crisis in Ukraine. Zelensky dismissed top executives. Okay, Ukrainian President Zelensky dismissed senior executives as part of the cryptocurrency bribery operations. So, as I've mentioned a number of times, I use a news aggregator site, right, to find this stuff. And so, with how, and this is also another bad like picture, image thing. But the basic idea is that I didn't see this story on, like, usually certain things repeat. So if something pops up on, let's say, Wednesday, you'll see an updated thing pop out again on Saturday or Sunday or something, or even Friday. So like if this, like, so this story happens like the 11th, or it was Saturday, but then nothing else comes out. And then none of the other platforms, the news platforms, mention this at all, right? Link for this will be in the description, so you can definitely dig down on this if you want to. I imagine there's some stuff going on Reddit about it, but the point being is that, let's just jump into Ukrainian President Zelensky announced the dismissal of heads of regional recruitment and social support centers, TCC, due to corruption and abuse of office. According to Zelensky, the security forces opened 112 criminal cases against military committees officials and identified 33 suspects. The suspects include district, city, and district military commissioners, as well as the TCC employees. So basically, like, and I need y'all to like put part of this into perspective of, you gave people the ability to be in charge of something. They saw how much money was coming in, moving around, and they know other people was already on the take. So what did you think was going to happen? Like, of course, somebody's going to dibble and dabble. What I also find more interesting in regards to how this article covers it, there's no mention of like, well, what crypto was it? What blockchain was it on? All right, let's look at some transactions. And I imagine somebody out there is doing the digging, because somebody's always watching a crypto wallet. I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, and it's funny the way that they were promoting the whole crypto thing in the beginning. Then like the dude who was the vice, what is it, the vice president, he's in charge of the technology innovation stuff. I can't remember his name right now, but like it's very interesting to see where this whole crypto thing in Ukraine was when the situation first started to where they are now. And funny enough, the Red Cross in, I think, Singapore recently started saying that they'll do an expansion of crypto donations. But like, even in that scenario, they don't even keep the crypto. So we already know that as far as how charity and donations and certain particular major known players, they don't give even half of the dollar that you donate to them. And I find it ironic that in the case of this Red Cross situation, it's just like, all right, so you get the crypto, you immediately convert it out, and then it like kind of goes to what it goes to. So what was the point of even taking the crypto to begin with? And in this scenario, like, hey, I mean, depending on what you're paying attention to, and for some of the things I'm paying attention to, Ukraine was already seen as a money pit, and it's being set up to be more of a money pit. And so this is like, not really unexpected, depending on who you're listening to or who you're using to cross-reference how you see what's going on in that region of the world. I should say it that way. All right, let me jump into this next one. All right. Okay, there we go. So Lightning Network capacity decreases while numbers of channels grow. So initially, I thought this was going to be a technical article. Like there was something technical going on within the technology that warranted what the main title says, right? But when I dug into the article, it's like, oh, so we're really just more so sideways trying to make this into a profit or loss thing. So let me jump into the why and what's going on. So disconcerting trend or progress. Lightning Network sees growing channels alongside falling capacity. All right. So keep those two phrases in mind: the growing channels and failing capacity. Sorry, falling capacity? Falling capacity. All right. So let's there we go. All right. So at this point, we should know what Lightning Network is. If you don't, hey, you can read that first paragraph right there. But I'm actually looking to jump into this paragraph here. Do remember, link will always be in the description for this, so you can definitely follow up. So Lightning Network capacity refers to the total amount of Bitcoin transaction within the network at any given time. A decrease in the capacity could hinder the network's ability to process many transactions. According to Glassnode, the Lightning Network's capacity dropped significantly between July and August, decreasing by almost 13% in the last 30 days. Remember, and I want y'all to remember what I was saying about, like, when they start throwing numbers at you, it's like, well, what's the point of the number? And does what you're explaining or the numbers that you're using, are they actually connected to what is going on? Because sometimes, And if you know anything about like statisticians and like statistics, you know that people will be able to cherry pick certain numbers or argue the numbers or the statistics of something in a way where like, oh, well, that's the stats. Like that's a official, you know, somebody did the query and they came up with the polls and blah, blah, blah. Like that's the result. And that's what it has to mean because someone said, oh, we did a report or there is a research thing that came to these numbers for the conclusion, right? So we make it, or we take it as like, oh, well, that's the official thing. Here's what I'm saying about this. Let me go a little bit further in. Where are you at? Here. So the number of channels on the Lightning Network grew by 3% in the same period. Channels are the fundamental building blocks of the Lightning Network. They are private, off-chain pathways that enable two parties to interact without broadcasting to the blockchain. An increase in channels indicates more transaction pathways, potentially enhancing the network's efficiency. The growth suggests expanding the network's infrastructure, allowing more users to participate. So, you got that, and then we come to this closing line, or paragraph down here. One potential reason for these conflicting trends could be establishing more channels holding smaller amounts of Bitcoin, right? This might indicate a more distributed network with users preferring to open their own channels rather than relying on larger centralized ones. And shout outs to Crypto Blood, because he's the one he's definitely been anti Lightning as far as his argument is based on the whole centralization of the Lightning Labs that makes this particular Lightning version, as well as the centralization of some of the bigger players that are involved within the network. So shout outs to him for holding his ground on that. All right, so this might indicate that a more distributed network with users preferring to open their own, there we go, centralized one. While this can be seen as a move towards decentralization, the reduced capacity might also suggest that larger players are withdrawing their Bitcoin from the network, possibly due to market uncertainties or a shift in investments. So here's where I'm going with this. If that's the theory you're going to throw out, then maybe you should give us the actual charts and graphs that show that there's a closing of channels, right? And if there's a closing of channels, because like, what is this one? The thing that also, other thing to note about this is actually an advertisement for Glassnode, which they do analytical reports. This is actually what the article is fully about. Not fully about, because it doesn't give you the full report of what they did, but it took the one little point of, hey, we see a growth in the number of channels, but we noticed that the capacity, which basically means like, if I have my channel and I have $100 on it, $100 worth of Bitcoin can move through my channel. And then someone else has, let's say, $300 worth. What we're saying is that the capacity is bigger on that other channel. But what's going on is there are more channels, but it seems like there are smaller capacity amounts. So more $100 or $50 or $75 channels versus the $300, $500. And like, it's kind of crazy if you actually do that much on there, considering some of the issues with the Lightning Network. But nonetheless, this point of what they're trying to say doesn't necessarily make sense. But then when you realize, oh, this is actually an advertisement for Glassnode, oh, okay, now I get why you kind of throw in, and mind you, this is not them saying that there's a technical issue. This is literally the user base. They're trying to give you an explanation of, well, why are people who run Lightning Network doing this? We see that more people are making channels, or we see that folks involved have grown to make more channels, but the capacity is shrinking, which doesn't necessarily mean, well, yeah, here's the bottom line. This isn't saying that there's a technical issue. It's them trying to give an explanation of the user base as far as the people who run the nodes and then the people who are actually using the network for transactions. It doesn't mean that what they're saying is actual fact. And this is a sideways promotion for the company that did the report. I'm beating the horse on this. I'm gonna jump off to this next story. Let's get into this Trump joint. So, former U.S. President Donald Trump reveals he owns cryptocurrency in his latest financial report. So so there was more than one version of the story, and like I said, like things will do this like repeat thing. So if it came out on Thursday, then they might say some updated thing on Saturday. And I've seen a couple of different stories around this, right? So here's the thing to note with this: he doesn't actually declare like, oh, hey, I have crypto. And when I first seen the story, I'm like, oh, bet your man is about to jump out the gate on him because he's going in first to say, I have crypto. But what actually turns out is it's that when he submitted his financial records, because he's running in the presidency situation, they're combing through all of the stuff and they're like, oh, well, he has crypto. Well, considering, as we've been saying on the network, crypto, Bitcoin, shitcoins, all of it, it's going to be a part of the talking point for this presidential election cycle and a number of other electionary things going forward. right? And so in this situation, it just so happened that, hey, you remember he did the NFT project in 2021, 2020? Yeah, so 2020, right? So it ain't even a matter of like, oh, he hates crypto and he thinks that it's the end of the economic, US world. No, it's like, oh, that was a business deal. I did part of that, and that's what it was. So let me jump into this real quick. So former US President Donald Trump announced that he has 250,000 worth of Ethereum. So let me make that correction. If I'm understanding this right, he didn't announce it. Like, he didn't hold a press conference. Granted, I didn't actually Google it out to see if he held a press conference. But if I'm understanding this right, he submitted his lawyer or his CPA person submitted the financial documents. They're reading through the stuff and they're like, oh, we see crypto in this. Oh, he has crypto. That's not the same as him going out on the campaign trail or holding a press conference to be like, hey, I have crypto. That's not the same thing at all. Granted, I do think, considering that the crypto thing is being pushed into the election conversation, arguably this works in his favor, because who's taking Biden serious if he tell you he got crypto? If Biden tell you he got crypto, who's taking that serious? Like, come on now. If Kamala Harris told, I don't know, I wouldn't take none of them serious. I mean, nonetheless, the point being is he had the NFT project. He apparently made some sales. It worked out. Granted, there's no, because all right, as far as this article is concerned, they don't actually make the solid connection of, oh, the crypto that is claimed in his financial documents is actually from the crypto NFT project he did in 2021 or 22, whatever. So I don't know. There's probably still some, devils in the detail stuff. But the point, being is, your man can't be anti-crypto because he did the crypto project. And granted, he was talking all the jazz he was talking beforehand. But again, like I keep saying it, like, none of these folks, when they make these public statements, when they do these press releases, when they have their conferences, unless they under oath, none of the stuff they have to say in full truth or half truth. And at this point, I think we all understand that, like, government officials lie, like, flat out about a number of things. But I'm not even going to run down that rabbit hole right now. I'm gonna just let that roll. So jumping onto this next story, y'all take that how y'all want though. Come on, there we go. So this joint here, Russia's digital ruble pilot test begins. A potential challenge to the dollar's global reserve status. Okay, so first off, I'm gonna say cap on the main title. Okay, I've been covering this for over a year now. Russia's not anti-crypto. Everyone across the board globally is moving some way in their own about crypto and CBDCs. Was it last week? I covered the story about how Russia was like, we're gonna be cool with anybody's CBDC, and I'm saying cool in air quotes. Well, actually, I'm saying anybody in air quotes, because if you don't remember, and this is how I said it last week, Russia's a part of the BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. The list just came out this weekend about the number of countries that are looking to that officially put applications in to be a part of that financial business network, and it's more than 10 countries. And there's another setup. I think the official application list was like 10. No, it's more than 10. Sorry, there's like more than 10. But there's other people waiting who want to be in on this. Now, the point of where I'm going with this, right? Oh wow, what happened to the? All right, so let me jump into let me read a couple of lines and then I'll throw out how all of this connects together. So the Bank of Russia is gearing up for its digital ruble pilot test slated for August 15th, with all 13 banks that express interest in the pilot confirming their readiness. So this month they're going to start their CBDC. That's all this is the digital ruble, as we say with the digital dollar, as we say with the digital yuan. It's CBDC shit, right? All of these major countries are going to go through their version of what they go through to say, how do we get it to work at the local level? And then how do we get it to work at the international level for the multipolar bilateral trade stuff? Russia made a comment last week that was like, hey, we're going to be cool with other countries' CBDCs. Why? Because now you have another payment rail and another medium of being able to conduct business. And that's what this all boils down to. They are trying to come up with, or they are in the process of establishing other viable non-censorable, non-censorable is a strong phrase, right? But they're looking for alternative ways to be able to conduct the monetary transactional side of the business, right? And so you look at, well, Russia's already a part of the BRICS. From the indicators that are going on right now, the BRICS volume-wise, the money's moving, the business is happening, okay? Russia's doing stuff with India. India's doing stuff with China. China's doing stuff with Brazil. Brazil's doing stuff with South Africa. It's all mingling around. And other countries like Ethiopia, even Palestine put in an application to be a part of the BRICS. Now we know certain parties might not look to let that happen. But imagine if Palestine became a part of the BRICS. What would that do for that region? What would that do for the people on the ground? Just saying, just throwing that out there. Point being is, this is happening. Granted, they don't get into like, well, are they going to push it like how the Chinese did with their CBDC? And I also thought it was interesting that they don't actually mention CBDC in this whole article. But nonetheless, this is officially getting tested out. It's already happening. And I've been saying it for more than a year. Like, their central banks and their legislators have been making the regulatory framework for more than a year now for all of this stuff to come down. So here's where we are. There's no stopping it at that point. All right, jumping into this next story. PayPal PYUSD stablecoin. Ooh, sorry, I'm on the wrong thing. All right, let me nope. There we go. So PayPal's PYUSD stablecoin, unexpected way it will out earn USDC and USDT. Okay, so this kind of threw me off because I was like, all right, well, again, I've seen a number of articles and there was like different clickbait titles and then there were different kind of assumptions being thrown to it. This one here, for another example, in that the whole out earn. All right, let me jump into why they bring that up. And I don't know if I really believe it. I guess this is it's going to be one of those, like, we'll have to see how it plays out, right? So here you have it. Actually, no, that's not the one I wanted. It was this one. So traditionally, popular stablecoins like USDC and USDT have largely relied on interest income from the assets that back the stablecoin. These assets predominantly include USDS dollar deposits and short-term treasury bonds. I find it so interesting that they actually brought up the treasury bonds, where it's like, wait, when did that actually become the thing in the industry? Because it only was coming out during the C19 era, where it was becoming public knowledge that, hey, these stable coins actually aren't just being backed on the US dollar, right? That's a whole other thing, another rabbit hole to run down. But anywho, this mechanism has proven to be reliable and lucrative, be a reliable and lucrative source of income for these businesses. Yet, in an unexpected move, PayPal is sidestepping this convention. So here's what they're doing. Instead of relying on the interest from backing assets, PayPal aims to leverage its new stablecoin directly with payment transactions to generate revenue. The shift signifies a fundamental change in strategy. By doing so, PayPal seems to be banking on an increased adoption and usage of PYUSD with its vast ecosystem and merchants and consumers. So here's the thing on this, right? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. This is where it's supposed to be at. So yes, they have a lot of users. Yes, they have a lot of vendors and people who are selling things on their platform. But arguably at the same time, it's like, well, you guys aren't really known as a crypto related company. You aren't known as a crypto company. And your head guy was straight trashing crypto not even 5 years ago. Arguably, I don't even think that was 3 years ago. It might have been 4, maybe. But the point being is, like, you're going to try to do this hard 180 turn to be like, not only are we in on crypto, we're going to then put our own crypto asset out there. And you already have it that people who are traditionally in crypto don't like messing with y'all. So you're really banking on the ignorance of the new folks who come in at this phase of the market adoption, where they don't know about how anti-crypto y'all was in the beginning. They don't understand why the OG crypto folks won't mess with a PayPal or any product that PayPal puts out. The point to this as an indicator, right? Because I forgot the date it actually went out, but it is out now in the public. I forgot the exchange that is like, all right, yeah, we'll pair it with, I don't even remember what they said they would pair it with, but you can find it on 1 or 2 exchanges. The point of where I'm going with it is that we're seeing a change, or we're seeing an event of this come out, and arguably this is a different brand of what Facebook tried to do with their coin token thing. There's already been pushback reported from the regulators. Will this succeed? I don't know, because then the other question comes into, if they get pushback from the American regulators, does this mean that they then have to try to focus and push the market adoption in like the Latin American, European, or African markets, or maybe the Asian market too? I don't know which of those 4 things sit as the the easier adopter, from a regulatory standpoint as well as an on the ground point. But the point is, if they can get past like 6 months and there's still like, okay, we see some level of activity. Like, I wonder what their bean counters in the accounting department projected, like, hey, we need to at least get it to this point on the price point on the exchanges, and then we need to have at least this level of activity for 3 months, 6 months, a full 12, 15 months. I don't know. But the reason why I bring that up is because the longer that they're able to keep this new stablecoin out in the wild, quote, it has a higher trend or a higher chance of other companies in the space who are not originally crypto companies then coming up with their own thing and being like, oh, well, you let them do it? Oh, we about to do it too. And so that's the thing of, do the regulators, will the SEC or FinCEN or one of them come in and be like, no, dog, you can't run that over here? I don't know. But this is the second iteration of trying to do your own thing as a fintech company. We'll have to see how it plays out over the coming months. We'll see what happens. But like I said, the longer they make it past 3 months, 4 months, then higher chance of you gonna see other companies trying to make that move too. Just saying. What's the next story? Two more to go. All right. So, yeah, I'm not liking how that works. Anywho, so Visa allows users to pay Ethereum gas fee via credit card. And you saw what I did with the title. I threw it in on some like, yo, would this actually affect to stabilize GUI, aka Ethereum gas fee? I don't actually know. What I do know is if Visa is doing this, and arguably this is a sizable experiment, right? Because now this is like, well, if you got the Visa logo on your card, you're in, which is a lot of people, a couple million, right? And here's the basic idea behind it. Where's the part at? All right, I'll start from up here. So on Thursday, August 10th, payment giant Visa made an important announcement allowing users to pay on-chain Ethereum gas fees directly in fiat currencies, either using a credit or debit card. So, where is it at? All right. There's a new smart contract called, what is that? ERC 4337. So, all right. Visa said that Visa said it first conducted the test on the Ethereum I'm so annoyed with how Ethereum names this stuff. But anywho, testnet by using a paymaster contract in order to sponsor gas fees on behalf of users. Thus, users can send blockchain transactions without having to worry about maintaining an ETH balance. As per Visa, the contracts make transactions accessible to a wider range of users. Commenting on the development, Visa's technical team wrote, I'm not even worried about that part. Where's the other thing? It is. Yes, it's here. So this was the actual part that caught my attention. Alternatively, well, let me read the top part so you get why the alternative part. The company has proposed that merchants and decentralized applications have the option to implement their own paymaster solution. So again, the paymaster thing is around the contract ERC 4337. And so alternatively, established wallets and paymaster service providers could present a gas fee payment option using cards in conjunction with their existing payment service. So, like, here's the thing that gets me about this. One, I can see the potential of, it wouldn't be a rug pull, but like this would definitely make an interesting honeypot, where, and granted, there's a level of KYC involved in this, in that you KYC for the card, whatever. If you're using a centralized exchange, like that's the level of the KYC thing there. They have certain things in place as a security, but now you've put it out into the wild. This is not just testnet shit anymore, okay? That's the part where it's like, now we're really gonna see, does it stand up, where somebody doesn't do some funky thing of like, oh, well, let me do some kind of double spend or some kind of false positive of paying the gas fee using a Visa card, and then they end up pulling off like a couple million off of somebody's chain. And then mind you, this is another indicator, right? So this is Ethereum. How long do you think it's going to be before Cosmos announces this, before Solana announces it, before, well, I mean, I was going to say Polygon, but it's like, that's still the Ethereum ecosystem, right? So everything that's like Ethereum ecosystem, this will eventually trickle down into their specific platform stuff. But looking at the other chains, the longer this works for Visa and Ethereum as this partnership technology integration thing, the more you have a chance of it will be used in other blockchains. So Cosmos, I mean, I guess there could be an argument for Bitcoin as far as them figuring out how to do it that way. But I also wonder, is this a proof of stake thing versus a proof of work thing? And I don't know why. Oh, here's the other thing that I really wanted to bring up about this, because I read, I think it was like 3 different articles that was covering this story about the whole, dealing with this visa thing. And here's what I want to say, what I thought was not fair of the news reporting around this. One, the fluctuating fee as far as the gas, there's a technical thing behind that, but the other part of, I don't think any of the articles, and like I said, I read like 3 different things and I ended up running with this one, were genuine in talking about part of the reason why the price fluctuates the way it does and why at times it can be clogged or very high is because of what's going on with the smart contract folks and how they're writing in the price functions. And like granted, the price functions are set, but how they're writing their smart contracts to do the transactional activity, right? X amount of what's going on with why things are as high as they are is an artificial implementation of people being greedy. For the technical folks who know how to do the contracts and who know how to prioritize, what things get validated first and last and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what that play is. So this part right here of, hey, well, we figured out how we can take the gas fee part and have you pay it on the separate thing, which now means, are you having to connect your Visa card? Like, are you having to connect your credit card to your wallet address? Which is even more KYC, which is like... This is just a candle, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. Please do understand, I'm not a CPA, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not even technically a coder. I just tinker with things, right? But like, and not being any financial advisor, CPA, or lawyer, but just somebody who's been around and like tinkers with things, this just seems to me like they're testing it. And I understand the whole thing of testing and evolving and the adopting of the technology and how they're going to make it work in a way that benefits them as Visa. But at the same time, the lessons that are going to be learned over this next year with this whole situation, the hackers and scammers are already figuring some things out. And 8 months, let's say 8 months before we hear about how someone figured out a way to hack this situation. I'll give it 8 months. But, in addition, I say that within 12 months, we'll see this technology integration used in other blockchains outside of the Ethereum ecosystem. And once the longer this works without any major hiccups, the more the likelier you are to see it pushed over into the other chains. And so more KYC, more potential for hack. It's going to be a bigger honeypot. And man, listen, I'm gonna just leave that there. Let me jump into this last story. Last story is this. So Canada pursues a secure digital asset repository as crypto crime surges. How am I breaking this down? Let me show y'all the artwork. This one, it wasn't the worst one. It wasn't the worst artwork. I'll give them that. So where am I going with this? Basically, this is a public announcement to the tinkerers, to the security firms, to the folks who are like super into the crypto thing. Hey, we will pay contract level money for you to come up with a solution that we could use for how our law enforcement grabs, recovers, and securely stores crypto from criminal situations. So whether it be that somebody got hacked or somebody was fraud, or they see some crypto from somebody, they need a solution that works to actually store it. And they're basically like, the way this reads, because I actually read the contract announcement. Like this is an official. They're coming to the public and saying, hey, we need somebody who can build this solution for us. And so the only thing that gets me about this, though, with the way that this article is written, and there's more than one article that was covering this too, they all repeated the same talking points. Oh, there's an increase in, crypto crimes. Like, no one's putting it into full context, though. Hey, here's how much actual money compared to fiat money is being used on the crypto side. There's no context of that. There's no, well, how much did it change from 2020 to 2023, or like from 2016 to now? There's no concept of that. But the point is, there is money being diverted in the Canadian government through the law enforcement means to get this solution. The other thing I wanted to throw out there that kind of got me was they didn't tell you how much the contract would be for to be able to do this. So it's like, well, oh, let me show you the, oh, did I? Oh, wait. I didn't do it. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't add it on this side. If you go to the Canadian government site and look in digital assets repository or do a search like that, you'll see the announcement for it. And it's a full-on real announcement. You have the closing date until September 21st. If you're interested in doing it, this is a contract period. I think it goes for like 6 months or something like that. And this is actually done by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and Shared Services Canada. If you're connected to the North, please jump in the comments, leave me something on this. Like, how serious are you taking this? Because I was also wondering, what if they do the, like, we have all these applicants come in, we take, the top 3 people, we talk to them, we figure out what they did, and then we go and talk to chain analysis and be like, yo, can you make this for us? Like, that would be some really grimy way to do it, but like, private companies and governments have done stuff like this all the time. So it wouldn't be totally unheard of to have a situation play out like this. I do look at it and wonder, though, like, is it a regular average Joe person who would actually win the working solution? And do understand, they want this whole thing to be centralized. There's no, hey, let's put in a decentralized storage on this or multi-authenticator block. No, they don't want none of that. And they want it to be like user friendly for the investigators. They want, matter of fact, arguably, they want a combination of cold storage, centralized cold storage with chain analysis capability. That's basically what they want as a platform, as a solution for how they would store all of the crypto that they get from the different crimes. And again, they're not even saying how much crime or the dollar amount of the crime, because honestly, I don't think the numbers would warrant the amount of money that is about to be invested in this. But it goes towards a bigger thing of crypto will be more widely used in the larger society. So you may as well start putting in the infrastructure and tools to be able to keep track or monitor those types of activities. Because I could say, what, maybe 10-15 years max, this tool will not just be focused on illegal criminal elements. It will move into the wider society as a monitoring tool. That's it. But anywho, so that was the last story. I do appreciate those who made it this far. I know I covered a number of things. I said a number of things. And like I said, like, the goal of this segment is to put things more in an event-driven perspective of, this ain't price talk. This is, if you're doing your due diligence and you're trying to understand and figure out how you're going to maneuver or operate in this space, price talk is the money's going to be there one way or the other. But it's the other things that are happening in the companies and the personalities in the different countries and the jurisdictions that are leading to where someone is making money, whether things are up or whether things are down, right? And again, we see this as either establishing a trend, a pattern, being an indicator of something going on behind the scenes, or confirming some other things that have been happening out in the public. And so those are the stories I got for y'all. I do appreciate, again, for tapping in on this. And if in case you didn't know, I do another show on the Saturday that comes on the 12ish called Metaverse at the Other Side. We basically record our Twitter spaces on the Builder DAO spaces, where we talk about other things, again, following the theme of no price talk, but related to metaverse stuff. And we do those on Thursdays, 8 p.m. live, East Coast time. And we do the replays on Saturday here on the Gentleman Crypto Network. And so, yeah, I'm just going to leave it out on that. And as I say, have a productive over busy day. Productive over busy day. And if it can't be that, at least be in a safe place and in a safe space, and at least with good company. And from one human to the next, that is the best thing that I can wish you. And other than that, y'all, one.